Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really plunging into a fascinating cross-section of the latest in cancer care.
Yeah, quite a mix.
We've got some really interesting stuff, breakthroughs in multiple myeloma, this incredible long-term remission in neuroblastoma.
That one's amazing.
New ideas on stopping breast cancer spread, updates on penile and urethral cancers, too.
And even looking at things like calcium intake for colorectal cancer risks.
Right. Plus, we'll explore peptide therapy, which sounds very cutting edge, and maybe surprisingly, the role of art in healing.
It all connects, in a way.
Exactly. So our mission today is to kind of weave these threads together, pull out the key insights, and give you a clear, engaging overview of what's happening right now.
Yeah, try and make sense of the landscape as it evolves. It's remarkable how much is happening across different fronts.
It really is, from these high-tech therapies to lifestyle things, even, creative expression.
Each piece gives us a different angle on understanding and hopefully managing these diseases better.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, multiple myeloma. It sounds like CR T-cell therapy and these bispecific antibodies are, well, game changers.
Oh, absolutely. For patients with relapsed or refractory myeloma, meaning the cancers come back or stop responding, these are huge.
For previously, the options were pretty limited.
Exactly. Very limited. Now we have treatments that are showing real effectiveness even when the myeloma is aggressive or heavily pretreated. Dr. Syed Abbas Ali highlighted this, the excitement this brings. It's palpable.
For patients and doctors, I bet.
Definitely. A real sense of optimism.
And it's not just for the end-stage cases anymore, is it? I saw FDA approvals for Carvykti and Abecma moving CRT earlier.
That's a huge development, bringing these CRT therapies into first and second relapse. That's significant.
Opens the door for more patients.
Potentially improves overall survival, yes. But, and it's a big but, it also creates challenges.
Logistical ones.
Big time. Infrastructure, staffing, making sure centers can actually deliver these complex therapies. And, crucially, access.
Right. Ensuring everyone who could benefit actually can get them. Are we talking mainly about the specialized centers needed or cost too?
It's all of the above. You need the specialized facilities, the trained teams, complex coordination, and then there's the geographic challenge, the cost barriers. Getting these treatments to patients who aren't near a major center is tough.
So it raises that question, though. If both CAR-T and bispecifics are options, how do doctors choose, especially later on?
Yeah, that's a key clinical decision point. A major factor is whether the patient has already had a therapy targeting BCMA.
BCMA, B-cell maturation antigen, the protein on the myeloma cells.
Exactly. It's on almost all myeloma cells, making it a prime target. The currently approved CAR-Ts target BCMA, and so do most of the bispecifics.
So prior exposure matters a lot.
It does. Generally, the thinking is to use CAR-T before a BCMA targeting bispecific.
Why is that?
Well, the data suggests that if you've already had a BCMA targeting drug, especially recently or for a long time, a follow-up BCMA CAR-T might not work as well.
Oh, okay. Like the target's already been hit hard.
Kind of. So if you do need to use BCMA-directed therapies sequentially, ideally you want a gap, maybe 3 to 6 months between them.
Give things a chance to reset.
Something like that. And interestingly, if a patient had a great response to a BCMA drug, then got a different kind of therapy, and then went back to a BCMA drug later, there's more confidence it'll work again.
That's fascinating. Sort of strategic sequencing. But what if RT just isn't practical for someone?
Good question. If RRT isn't feasible, maybe patient health, logistics, whatever, then clinicians look at other options. Clinical trials are key here.
Trials for what?
Bispecific antibodies targeting different proteins, not just BCMA, or even CAR-T cells engineered against other targets, like GPRC5D.
Is there anything approved targeting GPRC5D?
Yes, talquetamab TGVS, or TALVI. It's a GPRC5D targeting bispecific, approved for patients who've had at least 4 prior lines of therapy.
So options are emerging beyond BCMA.
They are, and it's crucial. We need more therapies hitting different targets to navigate these sequencing challenges, especially as more patients get BCMA drugs earlier.
Why was BCMA such a good target to begin with? What made it stand out?
Its specificity, mainly. It's almost only on plasma cells, the myeloma cells. Very little elsewhere.
Meaning fewer side effects.
Exactly. Strong on-target effect against the cancer, minimal off-tumor collateral damage. That's the sweet spot.
And GPRC5D, does it have that same specificity?
Yeah, not quite as much. It's on myeloma cells, yes, but also on some mucosal cells, like in the mouth, skin.
Ah, so that explains some potential side effects.
Precisely. Things like taste changes, skin issues, nail problems can happen with GPRC5D therapies.
So the hunt is on for more targets like BCMA. Highly specific, stable?
That's the ongoing challenge. Find new targets that are mostly on myeloma cells, stay there under treatment pressure.
Hmm.
It's tough. Lots of research happening, though.
Okay, let's pivot to something really quite extraordinary. This story about a child with neuroblastoma. 18 years cancer-free after SHARE-RT.
Isn't that incredible?
Right.
Neuroblastoma is a childhood cancer of developing nerve cells, and 18 years. That's the longest complete remission reported for any CRT patient as far as we know.
For any cancer. Wow.
Yeah, especially significant because SAR-T has generally had more success in blood cancers like leukemia, solid tumors like neuroblastoma, often tougher nuts to crack.
They have ways of hiding from the immune system.
Exactly. The tumor microenvironment can be very suppressive.
And this trial was back in 2005. Was it successful for everyone?
No, and that's the critical part. This one patient had this phenomenal lasting response. But 10 other children in that same trial, well, one had a good remission for nearly 9 years, then dropped out. The other 9 eventually died from their cancer.
Wow. So what's the million-dollar question, as they say? Why such a dramatic difference?
That's what researchers are still trying to figure out. It could be individual differences in the kid's own T cell.
Like how active their immune systems were naturally.
Potentially. Genetics, maybe past infections, even things like diet could play a role in T cell function. They did find one clue. The longer the CHAR-RT cells stuck around in the blood.
The longer the survival.
That seemed to be the correlation, yes. Maybe in this one patient, that CAR-T cells somehow established a really long-term memory against the tumor.
Or maybe her tumor was just different, less able to fight back against the CAR-Ts.
That's another possibility. Maybe some tumors are just better at suppressing the immune system or resisting the CAR-T attack.
So the goal now is to figure out how to make CAR-T work better for more kids with solid tumors.
Exactly. Improve the CAR-T cells themselves, make them more persistent, more resistant to the tumor's defenses, but without ramping up toxicity. It's a fine balance.
That single case, though.
Yeah.
What a beacon of hope.
Absolutely. Shows what might be possible.
Okay, shifting focus again. Let's look at preventing breast cancer spread, metastasis. There's new research suggesting our own immune system could be key.
Yes, this is really exciting work from Moffitt Cancer Center. They've pinpointed a specific type of immune cell called a CD4 plus Th1 cell
Okay.
that seems to be able to stop breast cancer cells from spreading. Specifically, they target those dormant cancer cells.
The ones that can hide out for years and cause recurrence.
Exactly, those tricky ones. These CD4 plus Th1 cells act like targeted assassins for dormant cells.
How do they do it?
They produced a signaling molecule, a cytokine, called IFN gamma, interferon gamma.
Okay.
And this IFN gamma essentially forces the dormant cells into a state where they just can't grow or spread anymore, puts them in permanent lockdown, basically.
Wow. So the immune system actively keeps them dormant.
That's the idea. And there was another interesting finding, cholesterol.
Cholesterol, how does that fit in?
They found that blocking cholesterol production within those dormant cells made them less likely to survive and spread.
So maybe existing cholesterol drugs could play a role.
Potentially, yes. Targeting of that pathway could enhance treatment, maybe prevent recurrence. It opens up possibilities.
Did they see this link in actual patients? Higher immune response, better outcomes.
They did. Analyzing patient data, they found women with higher levels of these CD4 plus Th1 cells had a lower risk of their cancer coming back.
That's a strong link.
It really suggests that boosting this specific immune response could be a powerful strategy for long-term control.
And maybe not just for breast cancer.
The researchers think this mechanism might work against other cancers too, like melanoma, lung cancer. That needs more investigation, of course.
So future research will look at boosting these Th1 cells and maybe combining that with cholesterol drugs.
That seems to be the direction. How to enhance this natural defense and potentially use existing drugs to help keep cancer from recurring long-term. Really promising stuff.
Okay, let's talk treatment updates again. Penile cancer. There was a study looking at immunotherapy plus chemo as a first-line option.
Yes. Presented at the ASCO GU Cancers Symposium, it looked at semiplimab, that's the immunotherapy, combined with standard platinum-based chemo.
For patients with locally advanced or metastatic disease who hadn't had treatment before?
Correct. It was a phase 2 trial, EPC, with 29 patients. They got chemo plus semiplimab, then semiplimab alone.
And the results? Promising.
Encouraging, yes.
Yeah.
At 12 weeks, the clinical benefit rate was over 62%, objective response rate over 51%.
What about survival times?
Median progression-free survival was 6.2 months, and median overall survival was 15.5 months.
And side effects. Combining therapies can be tough.
They reported the side effects were manageable, so overall, it looks like a potentially safe and effective first-line approach. Needs bigger trials, but a positive signal.
Good to see progress in less common cancers, too. Now, switching to prevention. Colorectal cancer and calcium. We usually think calcium for bones, right?
We do, but this large study in JAMA Network Open suggests a link to lower colorectal cancer risk.
How large was the study?
Very large, over 470,000 people in the NIH AARP cohort, followed for an average of over 18 years. Huge data set.
And what did they find about calcium?
They found that higher total calcium intake was significantly linked to a lower risk of colorectal cancer.
How much lower?
The group with the highest intake, averaging around 1,800 to 2,000 milligrams a day, had a 29% lower risk compared to the lowest intake group.
Wow, nearly a third lower risk. Did it matter where the calcium came from? Dairy, supplements?
Nope. The association held true across different sources: dairy, non-dairy foods, supplements, and also across different locations within the colon and rectum. Pretty consistent.
Was it consistent across all groups of people?
Mostly, but there was one exception. For Black non-Hispanic participants, they didn't find that same statistically significant link between total calcium intake and CRC risk.
Any idea why?
The study didn't pinpoint why, just noted the difference. Needs more research. But overall, the suggestion is that boosting calcium, especially where intake is low, might help reduce risk and maybe even some disparities.
Is there a catch? Any limitations to the study?
Well, they only collected diet information at the very beginning, so they couldn't see if people's calcium intake changed over those 18-plus years. That's a common limitation in these long studies.
Still, pretty compelling evidence.
It adds to the picture, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to another less common cancer, primary urethral cancer. Sounds like it's quite challenging to treat.
It really is. It's rare, and it comes in several different histological types, different kinds of cells. That makes standardizing treatment difficult.
And outcomes aren't always great.
Unfortunately, recurrence rates can be high. A recent study looked back at data from 82 patients across 10 international centers.
What did that show?
It highlighted the diversity. Most common were urothelial carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, and many patients, nearly 3/4, were diagnosed at stage 2 or higher.
So often caught later.
Yes, and treatment varied a lot. Surgery alone, chemo, then surgery, chemoradiation, then surgery.
Reflecting the lack of a single standard approach.
Exactly. And the results reflected that challenge. Overall, disease-free survival was 54% after about 15 months follow-up, with a 43% recurrence rate.
Pretty high recurrence.
It is. Dr. Rohan Garge, one of the authors, really stressed the importance for patients with this rare cancer to get opinions at major cancer centers.
Why there specifically?
Access to doctors with experience, multidisciplinary teams, and crucially, clinical trials exploring new approaches.
Makes sense. Are there known risk factors?
Some include a history of urethral stricture, certain STIs, or trauma to the urethra. For women, childbirth injuries can also increase risk.
So the message is awareness and prompt follow-up.
Absolutely. Don't ignore symptoms. See your doctor or urologist. Early detection is always key.
Okay, now for something that sounds like it has huge potential across many areas, including cancer, peptide therapy, what exactly are peptides?
So peptides are basically short chains of amino acids. Think of them as mini proteins.
Okay, small building blocks.
Right. And what's exciting is their properties. They can often penetrate tissues well, get into the bloodstream quickly.
Better than some other drugs.
Potentially. They also tend to have low immunogenicity, meaning they're less likely to provoke a strong immune reaction, and they can be incredibly specific.
Specific to their target.
Highly specific, much more so than many traditional small molecule drugs. Think of it like a small molecule drug might be a key that fits several locks, while a peptide can be designed to fit only one specific lock, one receptor on a cell.
Like a super targeted medication.
Exactly. That precision is a major advantage.
What kinds of things can they do in the body?
All sorts. They can act like hormones, growth factors, interact with ion channels, function as neurotransmitters, even fight infections. They bind to cell surface receptors very specifically and trigger actions inside the cell.
Is this a new field?
The potential has been known, but it's really exploding now. There are over 80 peptide drugs approved globally and tons more in clinical trials and earlier development. It's a very active area.
Where's the most exciting research happening? What diseases are being targeted?
Well, definitely cancer. Using peptides to deliver chemo drugs right to the tumor, disrupting proteins that keep cancer cells alive, blocking drug resistance. Lots of angles there.
Makes sense, given the targeting potential.
Then there are metabolic disorders. We're already seeing huge success there with drugs for obesity and diabetes like liraglutide Saxenda and semaglutide Ozempic. Those are peptide drugs.
Right. Those are everywhere now.
Big impact. Also, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Research is looking at peptides to deal with misfolded proteins or even create peptide-based vaccines.
And what about healing or repair?
Regenerative medicine, yes. Using peptide-based dressings to promote wound healing, leveraging natural peptides involved in repair processes.
So what are the main advantages over, say, traditional chemo or other drugs?
High specificity, leading to potentially fewer side effects. High biological activity, they can be very potent. Good membrane penetration in many cases. And potentially lower cost and faster development times compared to some biologics like antibodies.
Sounds almost too good to be true. What are the catches, the challenges?
There are definitely challenges. Stability can be an issue. They can break down quickly in the body. Potential toxicity or immunogenicity, though often lower than larger proteins. Regulatory hurdles. And a big one is delivery.
Delivery, you mean getting them into the body?
Yes. Most current peptide drugs have to be injected. They often don't survive the digestive system if taken orally. Finding ways to make them stable and absorbable as pills is a major research focus.
What about the future? Where's peptide therapy headed?
The future looks really bright, especially with tools like AI.
Artificial intelligence, how does that help?
AI and machine learning can screen vast numbers of potential peptide sequences incredibly quickly, predict their properties, identify targets. It massively speeds up the discovery process, could lead to cheaper, more personalized peptide treatments.
So more targeted therapies, faster.
That's the hope. The market for these drugs is expected to grow significantly. It's a really dynamic field.
Okay, finally today, let's shift from the high-tech lab to something, well, deeply human. The healing power of art during the cancer journey.
Yeah, this is such an important, often overlooked aspect of care, the emotional, the psychological side.
We have this really moving story of an artist, Ginger Memo Rolfing.
Right. She used her art painting as a way to cope with her breast cancer diagnosis and treatment.
Inspired by fallen leaves and petals.
Yes, finding beauty in things that were broken or falling apart, and using that as a metaphor for her own process of, well, piecing herself back together after a double mastectomy.
And it's powerful imagery.
It really is. And her care team at Penn Medicine apparently played a big role, encouraging her to consider all options, including reconstructive surgery.
Which really helped her outlook.
Significantly, according to the story. Helped her self-image, her feeling of wholeness again.
And her paintings were even featured at an event.
Yes, Penn Medicine's Breast Reconstruction Awareness Day. They showcased art by patients, survivors, staff, highlighting that creative expression.
It acknowledges that healing isn't just about the physical body.
Absolutely. And one of the doctors, Dr. Sue Somerton, pointed out how art can be a real comfort, a distraction for patients, even during procedures. Takes their mind off things.
And now Ginger Rolfing is giving back.
She is. She's in remission, teaching art, and donating supplies to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. She clearly understands the therapeutic benefit firsthand.
Her belief that art connects everyone, that creativity is liberating. It's a wonderful perspective.
It truly is, a reminder that healing involves the whole person, mind, body, and spirit.
So this has been quite a journey today, hasn't it? A real deep dive.
From SAR-T sequencing to calcium intake to canvas, quite the range.
Just to recap some highlights, we saw the rapid evolution in multiple myeloma therapies, that incredible 18-year neuroblastoma remission.
The immune system's potential role in stopping breast cancer spread, new options for penile cancer.
The calcium link for colorectal cancer, the complexities of urethral cancer treatment,
The huge promise of peptide therapy across so many diseases.
and finishing with the profound impact creative expression can have on well-being during cancer recovery.
What really strikes me is how it all points towards a more holistic, more personalized future for cancer care. Science, lifestyle, emotional support, they all intertwine.
Definitely. Which leads us to our final thought for you listening. As we've explored all these different angles, the cutting-edge science, the supportive care, the personal journeys, what new connections or perhaps new questions emerge for you when you think about the complex landscape of cancer treatment and healing?
Something to reflect on. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for tuning into this deep dive.